Imagine a world where everything you take for granted, air, safety, knowledge, and even reality itself, could vanish or be turned upside down in a heartbeat. Where humans are powerless against forces that govern life. Where secret places on Earth hide dangers you can't survive. Where a few brilliant minds see the future decades before it happens. And where reality itself might be nothing more than an illusion. Stay tuned, because in the next few minutes, you're about to uncover 4 facts so shocking, so terrifying, and so mind that you will question everything you thought you knew about the world, and nothing will ever feel the same again. Fact number 1. Imagine this moment very carefully. The Earth suddenly loses all its oxygen for just 5 seconds. A time so short that most people would assume nothing serious could happen. Yet in reality, those 5 seconds would be enough to trigger global chaos and permanent damage to life on this planet. The instant oxygen disappears. Not because lungs collapse, but because no fresh oxygen can enter the bloodstream. And within 2 seconds, the brain recognizes extreme danger, triggering panic, confusion, and an uncontrollable survival response that spreads across the planet simultaneously. People would not die immediately, but their bodies would begin to suffer intense stress as heart rates spike, blood pressure rises, and oxygen-starved brains struggle to function, causing dizziness, loss of balance, and unconsciousness in vulnerable individuals such as children, the elderly, and those with heart or lung conditions. At the same time, something even more dangerous would happen above us, because oxygen is essential for maintaining the ozone layer. And the moment oxygen disappears, that protective shield collapses instantly, allowing powerful ultraviolet radiation from the sun to strike Earth's surface directly, burning exposed skin within seconds, and causing radiation damage that normally takes hours or days to occur. The atmosphere itself would become unstable, because oxygen makes up a major portion of air pressure, and when it vanishes, pressure drops suddenly, causing windows across cities to shatter, aircraft cabins to violently decompress, and tall buildings to experience stress strong enough to create cracks that would remain even after oxygen returns. Airplanes in the sky would face instant disaster, because jet engines rely on oxygen for combustion, and without it, engines would shut down immediately, leaving pilots helpless as aircraft begin falling from the sky with no time to recover, leading to catastrophic crashes around the world. Birds would also become victims of this event, because their respiratory systems are extremely sensitive, and oxygen loss would cause immediate unconsciousness, making millions of birds drop from the sky mid-flight without warning. Fire, which humans depend on for energy and survival, would instantly go out everywhere on Earth, shutting down power plants, factories, hospitals, and emergency systems all at once, causing massive blackouts and failures that could take weeks to fully repair. Because water is made of hydrogen and oxygen, and when oxygen disappears, water molecules become unstable, triggering violent chemical disturbances on the surface of oceans, rivers, and lakes, killing enormous amounts of marine life, especially plankton, that produces a large portion of Earth's oxygen. When oxygen finally returns after 5 seconds, the world would not return to normal, because humanity would be left dealing with crashed planes, burned skin, damaged cities, dead marine ecosystems, overwhelmed hospitals, and psychological trauma, proving that oxygen is not just something we breathe, but the invisible force holding life, nature, and civilization together. Fact number 2. There are certain places on Earth where humans are absolutely forbidden to enter, not because of superstition or imagination, but because stepping foot there could mean instant death, permanent injury, or irreversible disaster. And these places are scattered across continents, hiding dangers so extreme that no technology, weapon, or human skill can overcome them. Where radiation levels are so high that exposure for just a few minutes could destroy cells and DNA beyond repair, making the environment lethal even decades after the disaster. And even robots sent in to investigate often fail as radiation fries their circuits within seconds. leaving scientists with nothing but remote monitoring to study the site. Other locations are islands teeming with venomous snakes, like Brazil's Snake Island, where every square meter is home to deadly vipers, and a single bite can kill a human in under an hour, making the government ban entry entirely because even highly trained personnel cannot guarantee survival. And the snakes are so aggressive that approaching the shoreline without a boat is already life-threatening. There are lakes and natural formations that look serene and beautiful, but are chemically corrosive to the point of being instantly lethal, such as Lake Natron in Tanzania, whose alkaline waters can burn skin, blind eyes, and preserve animals like statues within hours, turning the environment into a silent, deadly trap for any unprepared human. Some forbidden places are inhabited by isolated tribes, like North Sentinel Island, where contact with outsiders is strictly prohibited, not only because the tribes fiercely defend their land, but because even a common disease brought by a visitor could wipe out the entire population in days, making any attempt to land on the island a potential humanitarian disaster. And governments enforce a strict no-approach policy with legal penalties and military oversight. Underground vaults, seed banks, and high-security military facilities also count among these forbidden zones, where only a handful of authorized individuals are allowed. Because these places contain resources critical to humanity's survival, such as the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, which stores backup seeds for almost every crop on the planet, designed to survive nuclear war, natural disasters, and climate collapse. And a single contamination or mishandling could have irreversible consequences for global food security, meaning ordinary humans are completely barred from entering. Toxic gas zones exist in volcanic craters or chemical spill areas, where invisible fumes can suffocate, burn, or poison anyone who breathes them even for a few seconds, making protective equipment essential yet sometimes insufficient, as gas concentrations and wind can shift unexpectedly, turning a seemingly safe perimeter into a lethal trap. And even military zones, such as Area 51 or other top-secret testing grounds, are forbidden under the threat of lethal force, where warning signs are explicit and surveillance constant, because the materials and experiments inside could be dangerous not only to humans but to global security, showing that access is restricted for humanity's protection and the protection of critical technology. These forbidden places together reveal a chilling truth. No matter how advanced humans become, how much technology we invent, or how brave we consider ourselves, there are corners of our planet where nature, science, and circumstance remain absolute, where curiosity is punished, where life itself is fragile, and where ignoring the rules is not an act of courage, but a direct invitation to disaster, proving that Earth, despite all our exploration and mapping, still has zones that reject human presence entirely, and crossing them is not explorationate, is almost always fatal. A reality so terrifying that it makes you realize how small and vulnerable we truly are in the vast, indifferent world we inhabit. Fact number 3. Throughout history, there have been individuals who predicted events with such astonishing accuracy that it makes you question whether human insight can truly be separated from the mysterious forces of fate. And these predictions were not mere guesses or lucky coincidences, but precise observations that came true decades or even centuries later. Starting with Nikola Tesla, the genius inventor who, in the early 1900s, described a future where humans would carry small wireless devices capable of instantly communicating across the globe, essentially predicting smartphones and the internet long before radio and telecommunication were even common. And he spoke of wireless energy transmission, drones, and automation that eerily resemble artificial intelligence today, showing a mind that could see patterns decades ahead of its time. Then there was Jules Verne, a French author who, in the 19th century, wrote novels describing humans traveling to the moon in a metal capsule launched from Florida and returning safely to Earth, with astonishing detail that matched the Apollo 11 mission over a century later, including the launch site, the capsule design, and the splashdown location in the ocean, demonstrating that imaginative fiction can sometimes cross the line into prophetic vision. Nostradamus, the 16th century French seer, composed cryptic quatrains that many historians claim predicted the rise of figures like Adolf Hitler, the French Revolution, and the Great Fire of London. And while his writings are intentionally vague, some lines correspond to historical events with a precision that defies coincidence, leaving experts divided between skepticism and awe. Albert Einstein, primarily known as a physicist, also issued warnings about the destructive potential of nuclear weapons decades before the first atomic bomb was detonated. And when Hiroshima and Nagasaki occurred, his theoretical warning had become terrifying reality, proving that scientific insight can sometimes border on prophecy. Abraham Lincoln reportedly had a dream shortly before his assassination in which he walked through the White House and saw a coffin, asking who had died and being told the president. A dream that foreshadowed his murder days later and left historians questioning the thin line between premonition and coincidence. Mark Twain, born in 1835 during the appearance of Halley's Comet, famously predicted he would die when the comet returned. And in 1910, when Halley's Comet appeared again, Twain passed away. An eerie alignment of human life with celestial events that seems impossible to explain by chance. More recently, visionaries like Steve Jobs accurately predicted that computers would become personal, intuitive, and central to daily human life. At a time when computers filled entire rooms, foreseeing a world where billions of people would carry powerful devices in their pockets, connected to vast networks of information. But that they suggest humans may be capable of perceiving possibilities, outcomes, and global trends long before society is ready to understand them. And if some minds can accurately predict the future, it raises uncomfortable questions about free will, destiny, and the hidden patterns that govern human civilization. The existence of these prophetic individuals forces us to confront a reality where imagination, observation, and insight can converge into precise foresight, where the boundary between genius and prophecy becomes indistinguishable, and where the line between coincidence and inevitability is blurred, leaving the unsettling conclusion that the future may be more knowable than we dare to admit. And some people, for reasons we cannot fully comprehend, are able to glimpse it with alarming clarity. Fact number 4. What we perceive as reality is far more fragile, distorted, and manipulated than our senses would have us believe, because every sight, sound, and sensation you experience is filtered, delayed, and reconstructed by your brain in ways you can never consciously control. Starting with the fact that the moment you see anything, you are already experiencing the past, as light takes time to travel and your brain takes milliseconds to process the information, meaning that everything you consider now is actually a memory of the very recent past. And this slight delay is only the beginning of the deception. Your brain edits and fabricates your perception constantly, flipping images, filling blind spots, smoothing motion, and removing inconsistencies so that the world appears seamless. Yet what you see is not the objective world, but a curated illusion designed purely for your survival, hiding countless details, dangers, and complexities that exist beyond your perception. The objects you touch and feel are not truly solid either, because on the atomic scale, matter is mostly empty space, with nuclei surrounded by electrons at vast distances relative to their size, meaning that when you touch something, you are not experiencing contact, but the electromagnetic resistance between electron clouds, a force interaction that creates the illusion of solidity, showing that even your most basic interactions with the physical world are governed by invisible forces beyond your control. Time itself is not absolute, and according to Einstein's theory of relativity, it bends and stretches depending on speed and gravity. So astronauts in space age slightly slower than humans on Earth, proving that even a second is subjective and that the chronology you rely on is not uniform across the universe. Your sense of self, the you inside your head, is an illusion as well, because neuroscience reveals there is no single location in your brain where consciousness resides. No central controller issuing decisions, only a distributed network of neural activity that creates the impression of a coherent identity, meaning that the person you believe you are is just an emergent phenomenon of countless, interacting processes you do not control. Reality may even be a simulation, as some physicists suggest, because the mathematical structure of the universe resembles coded information, with space, time, and matter operating like discrete pixels in a cosmic computation, leaving open the possibility that what you consider solid, objective, and permanent is in fact an artificial construct. and proportioned to create a version of the world that feels safe and comprehensible, while in truth you never directly experience anything, only the brain's reconstruction. Even memory is unreliable, constantly rewritten, and edited without your awareness, meaning your personal history and experiences are partially fabricated by your own mind, and what you think you know about yourself and your life may be a distorted narrative rather than reality. The terrifying conclusion is that almost everything you take for granted, space, time, matter, self, cause and effect, filtered, altered, or potentially illusory, leaving you in a world that is at best a curated simulation, at worst, a complex trap of perception from which there is no escape. And once you truly understand this, you cannot help but question every interaction, every sight, every sound, and every thought, realizing that reality as you know it may be nothing more than a fragile, temporary construct created by forces you cannot see, control, or fully comprehend, and that the universe may be far stranger than you are even willing to imagine, hiding truths that your mind will never allow you to face directly.